All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Today, we're going to be talking about the Canvas experience, specifically for our students. I kind of geared this presentation to be towards our non-instructional friends within inside of our college, because Canvas is really kind of a walled garden intentionally for our student experience. So I think the more people that we have aware of the features of Canvas and fundamentally how our students are using that resource inside of our classrooms, the better. It makes us a stronger institution as a whole. So let me jump in real fast. I want to share my screen with the rest of the participants and we'll get going. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So let me get into the right tab here. I apologize. So the student experience for Canvas begins with the enrollment of that student inside of one of our courses itself. So in order to be in Canvas as a student, you need to be enrolled in one of our classes. Canvas is designed to be a classroom out there in the internet itself. So all of our legal requirements for our traditional classrooms apply to these online spaces, which is why a student needs to be enrolled in one of our courses to get access to that course's Canvas class. It's supposed to be a walled garden. It's supposed to have a very secure doorway around it to ensure that our private protected student information is not going out the back door and is not being shared across the entire web. So we have to have active enrolled students inside of our Canvas classes. The policy by district is if you're not a student in that class, you shouldn't be in that class, because that classroom has private information that we need to honor and respect and manage as the instructors. So I'm going to assume that we're enrolled in a class, and I wanted to show you what this Canvas experience looks like for our students. Okay, so they're going to go through their regular enrollment process as they would for any class, regardless of their modality. And then once they're enrolled in the class, so obviously they're going to go on the CRC main webpage, student login. And of course, Canvas is the #1 service right there on the top of the list. Once they click on this Canvas button, oops, excuse me, I'm already logged in. I'm going to log myself out real fast. Once they click on that button, let me just do it again. They're going to be presented with a sign-in. This is our single sign-in page. This is the master doorway into all of the technology services that we as Los Rios provide to our students. I'm a big fan of just having folks remember sso.losrios.edu. If you can remember that one URL web address, you are good to go for all of our Los Rios technologies, both for faculty and students and classified staff as well. So let's pump in a W number here. I got to use, normally a student would put their W number in here. Since I'm an employee and an administrator, I'm going to be kind of masquerading as a student, and I'm going to use my S number, which is something that we all faculty and I think classified staff has. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Okay, I'm going to sign in real fast. And here we go. All right, so once we're signed in, you're actually going to be taken to a home page, and my browser history is kind of overriding this a little bit, but you'll see, let's see if I can force it in another tab. What you should see, or what a student would see, is a page that's not too dissimilar from this. This is going to be a list of all the technology that they have access to, and there's actually a whole lot more in the list itself. Students are encouraged to hit this little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner, which allows us to filter the applications. And let's see if I can reset it. Yeah, there we go. This is everything that we offer to our students in the single sign-on page. As you can see, we have access to our Los Rios libraries, scholarships. Here's our student email, the Gmail, our Los Rios Gmail. Each student is going to get their own Google Drive. And of course, for today's conversation, Canvas. That's going to be the central experience, the central learning experience for all of our students. So once you click on Canvas, they're going to be taken to what's called a dashboard. And this dashboard is really kind of it's a clearinghouse for all of our classrooms. The current classes that they're enrolled in are going to show up in these big panes inside of this center area in here. And these little panes allow our students to, or tiles, excuse me, are going to allow our students to navigate quickly to each one of their classrooms. Often our students are enrolled in many different classes during a single semester. So it's not uncommon for them to have 3 or maybe even 4 of these tiles inside of their dashboard. So we get to provide a whole series of doorways into these small little classrooms through our dashboard. Now, before we jump into a classroom, there's also some other global experiences in this dashboard that are really important to point out and highlight. This is a global navigation view of the entire experience, if you will, for a student. Please ignore the SEC branding. As I mentioned before, I'm currently teaching a 3D modeling class down at Sac City College. So right now it's recognizing that I'm a student in one of those classes and it's bringing up all the Sac City stuff. But for us at CRC, this is just blue. The functionality is identical, right? So all of these features on our course dashboards, these are global features. These are features, tools, and technology that is available across all classes that a student is enrolled in. First and foremost, I want to draw attention to the account, because there's some important features in this account shelf that we all need to be mindful of. Specifically, there's 2. There's notifications and then settings. I'm going to start with settings because there's some things in here that we need to look at. A student can go in and can continue to customize their local Canvas experience in their global settings. And the one thing that I like to direct folks towards is this contact area over here. This is usually the first place a student needs to go to ensure that they're being contacted by their instructors in a way that works for them. Specifically, we can add an additional email address. Canvas is automatically going to pull the email address of the student that shows up from their eServices profile, right? Since I'm masquerading as a student right now, it's pulling up my my employee email address. But this is going to be the eServices email address. Well, what if we have a different email address, a private email address that they want to receive all of their Canvas communications to? Well, we can simply add an additional email address into the mix. Shoot, check this out. We can also do cell phone numbers and text messages. There's some really great ways in here for us to extend our communication system so that our students are always receiving the notifications and contact from their instructors in a way that works for them. On that note, once we've modified this, and some people love to modify it, some people don't, we then need to look at how our students are receiving this information from their instructors. And that's where this notification option in this nav bar comes in. This notifications option is going to allow the students to, again, customize how they're going to be getting information directly from their instructor. And you can see that there's a whole series of things in here that we can change. If I want to, maybe the student doesn't want to get discussion notifications that a new discussion board has been posted, or maybe they do want to see every single post or get a notification or an email every single time someone posts something. Well, we can customize that. There's these 4 columns in this list over here that allow our students to go in and change how they want to be notified by their instructor themselves. This is a good thing to review with all of our students to make sure that they're being notified in a way that they understand. Some folks, and this is kind of a dangerous thing, they just go in and they go, boink, no notifications on every one of these items. I'm going to put these back. And that's incredibly dangerous, especially when we think about announcements. I want all of my students to be notified immediately when I make an announcement. More on that later. In addition, when I post new information like grades, I want them to be notified the moment that something's graded so they can get an up-to-date understanding of their current status in the class. The larger point being is that our students have a tremendous amount of say in how they are going to be notified by these Canvas items themselves. So if you're running into a student that is like, man, my instructor's not notifying me, or maybe my instructor is not telling me that the grades are posted, direct them towards their notification settings, because this will help you and them understand how they've changed the system to get notified by Canvas itself.
Hi, Patrick. Can I ask a question?
Please do.
So if you add a different email address, is there a way to make one the preferred email address, or is it going to go to both email addresses?
It's going to go to both. I'm pretty sure it's going to go to both.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Patrick,
Some
can I
folks,
ask a
they don't
question?
realize that they have their own private student email.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lori, do you have a question? I want to make sure.
Yeah, so what's the default settings on all of these notifications?
Oh,
Like, I mean,
I don't really know off the top of my head. That's a good question. Of course, I've gone in and changed a lot
Right.
of this stuff to match.
Right.
I think this is probably pretty close to what the default notifications are going to be. Since I'm logged in as a student at the moment, I don't think I've changed a lot of these notifications. Yeah, but larger point being, make sure your students understand that they can change it. And sometimes they make changes, they don't even know they've made changes, or they don't understand the legend.
Right.
I've run into this often. They're like, what does the X mean? Or, oh, I put the calendar thinking that I was going to get, on the day or something. So we get a nice little legend up here at the top as to what these icons mean for each one of these rows. Okay, questions on notification preferences and how Canvas is going to be sending information to our students. Okay, great. And if you're not in a spot where you can physically chat with us, I got my chat window open here as well. So I'll be able to see, hopefully I'll be able to see all of your chat responses and your questions in there too. Okay. Some other global things over here that I want to make sure that folks are aware of is this courses pull-up menu. So this courses shelf is a really interesting feature inside of Canvas. The dashboard, as I mentioned before, is going to provide a whole series of tiles of their current classes. Well, if this is a student that is not finding their tile, their Canvas class inside their dashboard, this courses button is a really great place to do a good double check, because in here, they're going to see at the top a list of all the classes that are in their dashboard, but that might not be a representation of all the classes that they're currently enrolled in. If we go into all courses, this is going to show you a master list of every single Canvas class for the entire duration, all the way back to 2017, when the college first adopted Canvas, that every Canvas class that this student has been a participant in. The ones that are starred on this list are going to be on inside of our dashboard. And let me show you what this looks like from a much larger perspective. If I go, I've just changed my browser page here. Now I'm in Canvas as an instructor. You can see I have a whole bunch of classes inside of my dashboard up in here. But if I go into all courses, check this out. This is what our students are going to see. They're going to see a huge list of classes that they're currently a member in. These may not be active classes. They could be old classes from last semester, but they're still going to show up in the list. Any class that has this cool little gold star on it is going to show up in their dashboard. And it really does. We don't delete anything. We keep every Canvas class. We have no plans of deleting everything. Here's the past enrollment section. So we can start to see, here's my classes from fall of 2018. We only go back to fall of 2017 or spring 2017, excuse me. That's when Canvas was first adopted and brought into Los Rios. Before that, as many of you are aware, we used Desire to Learn, D2L. So this courses shelf is another great place to go if our students can't find their Canvas class. If it's not showing up in their dashboard, have them go here.
And then to put it, I'm sorry, to put it on the dashboard, you would put the star?
You got it. Just clicking on that star is going to put it on their dashboard. You got it. Okay. Other things that are important. Let me go back into my student view. Of course, is our calendar. Canvas provides a wonderful, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Patrick, I have a question.
Yeah.
Most of the students, like, at the beginning of semester, I used to get a lot of phone calls saying that, oh, my class doesn't show up on my Canvas. Where would we refer them to if it doesn't show up to their,
Yeah. So two things, and thank you for reminding me of the second thing. If it's not showing up on their dashboard, go into this courses button in their global nav bar. And then the second step is going into all courses. This is going to show them a master list. Any course that has been favorited, which is just this star icon here, is going to show up on their dashboard. In addition, their instructor, if it's not showing up on their dashboard, their instructor may not have published the course yet. That's an instructor problem. We communicate to our faculty that they, and gently remind them that they need to ensure that their classes are published, which is basically a fancy word for viewable. If the course is unpublished, our students are not going to be able to see it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, it did. So
Great.
would they contact the professor, or do they have to let the admission know about that?
Oh, contact the professor. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. One other thing. This is a real easy one. We have a cool Canvas calendar as well, which is a great place for us to go to get a calendar view of all the things that these students are expected to do. So any assignment for their class that has a physical due date will show up here inside of the calendar. You can even click on it. It will take you to the assignment in Canvas. It's pretty neat. This particular student me, is only enrolled in a single 3D modeling class right now, but we can filter what shows up inside of our calendar over here. This really is just a calendar. It's not meant to be the primary source and contact point for all of our instructional content. It's just a nice way to visualize what's expected of our students in a traditional calendar form. Some folks like subscribing to their calendar feed. This is an RSS feed. So if you have an iCal or Outlook RSS feeder, RSS reader or calendar that accepts RSS feeds, this is a good thing to do. I find it kind of, I don't do it personally, but I know some people like having it. Okay. The last one that I want to draw focus to in Canvas is the inbox. And this is actually an important part of our communication system inside of Canvas itself. The inbox is its own Canvas messaging system. So a student can go in and basically write emails to their instructors or the other students inside the class itself. This is wholesale separate from our traditional Outlook system. It's its own self-contained email system. For us as faculty, we get all of any message that's created inside of the Canvas inbox is automatically forwarded to our Outlook email address. So we get that as instructors, which is pretty cool. But for the students, this is their primary mode of communication to the instructor outside of traditional email. So they always have the ability to very quickly go into the inbox and write us a message, which is pretty cool. In addition, we also have access to our bookstore now. As many of you guys are aware, we changed our bookstore vendor at the beginning, I think sometime over the summer. And in that process, they created, they created a great little portal for the bookstore that's showing up here in our global nav bar, as is probably most importantly, the help button. This is our first line of defense for helping our students with all of the technology issues and our technology tools inside of Los Rios itself. And as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff up in here. We can actually chat with someone, a live chat system with a Canvas support specialist. Here's another link to email your instructor, which is pretty cool. We also have some phone support. Here's CRC's phone number for 24/7 phone support. This is not with a CRC person. This is with a Canvas representative that speaks on our behalf. If you want to speak directly with a Los Rios individual, the Los Rios help desk down here is going to call someone at district office, which is pretty cool. So we have lots of ways for our students to start resolving their technology issues with Canvas itself. All of this stuff from the top down to here, this is all Canvas specific stuff. The Los Rios help desk will help our students with anything really. Any technology related question they'll be able to help answer, including password resets, emails, verifications, a whole bunch of stuff. So the Los Rios help desk is a fantastic resource to direct our students to if they have problems. We are currently in the early stages of having a district-wide student help desk that's run by instructional assistants across the entire district, specific towards Canvas. Because remember, all of these services up in here, you're talking with a Canvas person that could be on the other side of the world. Well, we want to be able to put our students in touch with instructional assistants and faculty here locally that can help them with their Canvas problems. That, I think, is being spun up literally this week, if it's not already live. There's going to be some messaging and some communication going out, I think, in the not too distant future that starts to direct people towards that resource. And of course, our help menu will be updated to include that info. Okay. Questions on the global nav and or how to get help, how our students can get help with their technology problems.
Do you know the hours for the district office help desk?
It's normal business hours, so it's either 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's kind of in that range.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start looking at what the core student experience is going to look like for our Canvas class itself. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And I'm going to go into a class. This is an active class. This is my 3D modeling class that I'm teaching right now. So let's jump in. To enter into a classroom for a student, all you really need to do is just click on the tile and they're sent in. And this is what Canvas looks like. It's not too different from a whole series of web pages. The student experience is a web experience. Instructure, who are the developers of Canvas, they really only officially support the desktop experience, right? So a local Mac or a PC working inside of Chrome and Firefox. That is the officially supported environment for Canvas. So we really encourage all of our students to work within Canvas through a desktop browser. Since it's all browser based, what they're going to be interfacing with is just standard web pages from their perspective. As the instructors, we get a slightly different view, and I'll show you that here towards the end, but this is what they're going to see. Every student is initially going to be fed into what's called a home page. And this home page can be customized and is often customized by the instructor to fill any number of needs. Some people have certain tools be the first experience that our students see. Some people, like me, have a welcome page that provides a general overview of the course itself. But we're always going to have access to a home page. Most instructors have their most recent announcements show up here at the top. I'll come back to that here in a minute. They also get the ability to see a small to-do list and get a reminder that some feedback has been provided by their instructor itself. So this
Patrick,
yeah.
I'm sorry, is this, excuse me, is this usually where many instructors would put their syllabi?
It can be. And this is where it gets a little bit muddy. Let's put it that way. Because Canvas is a highly, highly, highly customizable experience. We have some good universal design practices for all of our instructional materials that encourage our instructional content or all the content to be shuffled through to the modules page. I'll come back to that here in a minute. So a student may not necessarily see their syllabus on the home page. Some people put it on the home page. I have a gigantic button down at the bottom of my page that says Start Course, which takes them to the modules area. And then the modules, for me, I have a page that includes the syllabus in here. So it should absolutely, at the very least, be inside of an instructional module. Some folks like to put it on the home page. So it's up to the instructor. When it comes to the design of Canvas, every instructor is going to be designing it a little bit differently. And we encourage our instructors to look at the content of their classes and provide a student-centered experience that promotes that content. How I do all of my stuff for 3D modeling is going to be wildly different than how an English class is going to do it. And they're going to be wildly different than how a chemistry class is going to be presenting their materials to their instructors or to their students, excuse me. So it's really going to be a little bit dependent. There will always be, and we are required as faculty to provide access to a syllabus, whether that's on the homepage or an instructional module is up to the faculty member. Okay. let's jump into announcements, because this is a critical part of our communication system with our students. Announcements are class-wide kind of messages that go out to every single student inside the class itself. Many of our support services, like the CRC orientation crew, I made them a Canvas course, and they had like 3,000 students in the orientation shell, and they used announcements just quite strategically, because then they could communicate to all 3,000 students in that Canvas course at once, which is pretty cool. And it's archived. Email, as we all know, is way thumbs down. It's not great, right? Having an archived place for all of our course communications is fantastic. I use announcements a lot. They're a fantastic tool. From the student perspective, just clicking on announcements will show all of the announcements that I have sent to my students themselves. At the very least, they're going to get 2 announcements from me a week. I always have an introduction, or give them a small little video, and I give them an overview of what we're going to be accomplishing this week. And then I also send out an announcement every time I have office hours. That way, it's really easy for them to find me, to get access to me, and then jump into my Zoom room to chat with me if they have a problem, or just, even if they want to say hi, which I encourage folks to do. So the announcements are kind of almost like permanent communications inside the course itself. These are course specific. Every instructor is going to do it a little bit differently. Some people live and breathe by announcements like I do. Some people send out an announcement once a week, or maybe once a semester. So it just kind of depends on how the instructor has set up their communication system. We actively try to get all of our faculty to use announcements as a core communication modality for their classes, because it really is quite great. It's a lot of fun, and it ensures that everyone in the class gets this communication. The default setting for our notification system is that every time an instructor makes an announcement, they're going to be sent that notification, which is pretty cool, right? So we like our announcements. Okay.
So question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you send a notification announcement, I'm sorry, when the student replies back to it, would that be available to all the students, or?
Good question. Good question. So announcements you can customize the announcement experience, and let's see. Yeah, let me go over into the instructor view here real fast. Because you can turn the ability to have an announcement on, or for a reply on and off. Let's see. Yeah, delay posting, allow liking. No, I guess no. This is they can't reply to an announcement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Yeah, it's really kind of designed to be one-way communication.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you want, there are discussion boards, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. And that's a really great way for our students to have a more kind of back and forth communication with the entire class, because those are public posts. Okay, let's go back in as a student, and let's look at modules. We kind of go out of our way as much as we can as faculty to put all of our instructional materials in one place. If you think about the student experience, there's a lot of technology that's sitting in front of them. Where do I go to find all of my learning resources? Where do I go to find my assignments and my quizzes? We're in midterms right now, so the idea of an exam is on the foreground of a lot of people's mind. The modules tool is that central hub. It really is kind of like a library of all the content for our class. As you can see, once we go into the modules tool, if the instructor has designed the course what I would call correctly, each one of our learning modules is a container for a whole bunch of information. So if you look at these dark gray bars here, think of these like folders. And then inside of these folders are a lot of different things, including content pages, just straight up web pages. Like here's the welcome address that I gave to my 3D modeling students. In the lower right-hand corner of each content page, there's a big next button that allows our students to linearly go through the sequence of content inside the module itself. We can non-linearly navigate the module content by clicking on this modules button. Here's my orientation module. And you see that I have these little header rows in here that start to break out the content. Here's the course syllabus that was asked about before. So this is a really great structure for our class. In our online teaching institute, in our faculty-led professional development, we spend a lot of time looking at how we can organize our learning materials so that it works in an asynchronous way. When it comes to distance education and a true Canvas experience, that asynchronous modality is the brass ring that we're always trying to grab. We're always striving for an experience where a student can jump into Canvas, understand and learn the content without any sort of instructor interaction while we're learning. Of course, there's going to be a tremendous amount of instructor interaction during the assessment and communication phase. But if we've done our job, if we've organized our content cleanly, at the very least, our students can go in and start learning without a lot of contact by the instructor. Okay, so if you look carefully at the way that Canvas is displaying this stuff, every item is going to get obviously its own title, but these icons are important things to point out. I think Canvas has very, very nicely created some series of icons that will help all of us understand what function or what role this particular item plays inside of the Canvas experience. These are all content pages. So these are just static little chunks of information, really designed for our students to consume information, to read something, to watch a video, not to interact. If we go back to the modules section, down here at the top, I have a little category here called activities. This little rocket jet thing here, this is a quiz. This is a discussion board down here. So these icons help us understand the function of these items inside the modules itself. And I find them really, really, really helpful. So outside of Canvas pages, there are a couple items that our students can use to interact with the course and hopefully their classmates and of course naturally the instructor themselves. Quizzes are a great way for us to assess our students' current understanding of something. This is a discussion board. See the little chat bubbles down here. This is a forum, a topic forum that you would see in any other place. I have this forum set up so that I'm not going to post now, but you can't see the other people's replies until you do your work, until you go in and physically answer the question and participate in the larger conversations. These turn into wonderful, wonderful, wonderful areas for our students to communicate with each other. Really great online classes support communication on a couple different major tenets. First and foremost, the communication between the student and the instructor is a core part of all of our online classes. We also want to try to provide a way for our students to communicate with each other because there's learning that can happen instead of those actual interactions as well. The discussion boards are a fantastic place for that level of interaction to occur. Okay, I'm going to close my orientation module here and we can start looking at these other, I'm not going to go through all these modules, but you can start to see from the macro view how all of this content is organized and how central this module's area is to the classroom experience. Here is an assignment. This is what an assignment looks like. Assignments are great because I can request something from them. We always put due dates and a whole series of parameters for our students so they understand what's due, how much it's worth, and what they're doing, right? For this one, they're submitting a file, and then I give them some pretty great resources down here. I also provide a grading rubric for every single one of my assignments. So the assessment criteria is incredibly transparent. They see it from moment one. This is a great example of where our instructors should be going. And we encourage to make our assessment criteria as transparent as possible inside of all of our Canvas classes. Okay, so questions about modules and what we can find in modules. It's going to be different for every classes, but the items that I've highlighted are kind of the major ones. Okay, great. This This nav bar here is called the course nav bar. And this is another one of the areas that are customizable by the instructor. If I was to show you the instructor back end, and I'll do that here in a minute, you're going to see that there's probably 3 times as many different tools and items that we can include inside of our course nav bar. For some instructional courses, they have links to third-party resources like a text publisher resource site or some other support service. Point being, we can customize this. This list is going to be different for every single Canvas class, and we can also kind of rearrange the list to bring to make it work with inside the context of our class itself. It's one of my hardest things as the DE coordinator here at CRC is managing everyone's individualized course nav list because everyone's is different and they're in different orders. Sometimes the modules is on top and the announcements is down at the bottom, but point being is we can change it. I've placed all of the tools that are the most important for the student experience right here at their fingertips. So here's the area for discussions. This is every single published discussion board inside of the course itself. And I've added a few more in here for our students to go into and ask questions. Like here's a Q&A forum that isn't necessarily tied to a specific assignment. These are just general questions and answers for the entire course. Here's a student lounge where they can just come in and talk about, their favorite video games or whatever they want, right? It's a space for them to communicate and interact with each other. One of the cool things about Canvas is that we get to design and create the level of interaction we're looking for our students to achieve. And we do that with the customization of this list. Last and probably most important for our students is the grades. They get access to a live gradebook. There's no processing, there's no uploading of grades. The moment an instructor grades something and posts those grades, it's available to our students. And I'm going to say an instructor can post grades at a later time. Oftentimes they'll do that until like after all their different sections have submitted a quiz or after everyone has submitted all of their research assignments, then they'll post the grades for all of their Canvas courses at the same time. But for me, I don't do any of that. The moment I grade something, it shows up in their grade book. So their grade book is always up to date. Now, as a reminder, I'm looking at student Pat Cranley. That's me. And as you can see, as a student, I'm doing very poorly in this class. I haven't turned in a single thing. So it's great too, because you can get very quick access to the assignments themselves. Just click on the link, it takes me over into the my submission, the comments. It's just that there's a tremendous amount of information at their fingertips. This is also a fantastic place for them to get the feedback on their assignments. When I, as an instructor, provide my students with feedback, a little icon shows up here, and they'll be able to see specifically how I graded their assignment and any individualized feedback that I provided to them. And of course, down here at the bottom, they always get a running tally of how they're doing in the class itself. So it's a really great resource for our students to always have a direct understanding of how they're performing inside the class itself. I really like this about Canvas. It's a great resource. Nothing is secret to our students. The guys and gals that made Canvas really, truly tried to put the student in the middle of this entire experience, and the gradebook is a really great illustration of that. Now, that's not to say there aren't problems. Of course, there's problems. There's little bugs and glitches along the way. The gradebook is pretty rock solid. As a DE coordinator, I get to see just about everyone's gradebook, and I've talked to almost every single faculty member at CRC, seemingly. And the gradebooks are rock solid, which is pretty great. You can print your grades too. So if you need a current status on a student, you can have them print their gradebook for themselves. We can't do that as an instructor. I'm not allowed to print my students' grades. Their marks are private, protected student information. So we have to be mindful of that as an institution. Their grades are something that is protected under FERPA. So we gotta control it. Oftentimes we don't have to print the grades, but it is a function that's part of the system itself. Okay, questions on the stuff that I've gone through so far? pretty cool, starting to understand it a little bit, what it looks like from the students? Great, cool. I wanted to take a couple minutes and just show you the instructor side of this, because at the center of Canvas is the student, but we as the faculty member have obviously a direct role in this relationship as well. And we get access to a lot of tools and a lot of services, and it's not always shown to our students. Now I've jumped over back into I'm on the instructor side. I've already logged in. For all of our faculty or managers of any Canvas class, we go through the exact same login process. Instead of putting my S number as a student, I would put my W number, and I'm going to get the same, I get the same dashboard. I get the exact same courses shelf that we saw before. The general experience between a faculty member, or let's just say a non-student member of Canvas, and a student in Canvas, they're pretty the same. They're pretty identical, which is nice. It's pretty unified. It's not with desire to learn. It was wacky and weird and completely different than what our students saw. Not so much here in Canvas, which is kind of neat. All right, so here's all the classes that I'm currently teaching. I'm going to jump back into that 3D modeling class just so we have a frame of reference as to what it looks like. Now, if you look at our course nav bar, check it out. Look at all the different things that I could provide access to for my students. If you're working with a faculty member, or if you are managing one of these Canvas courses for a support area, I mentioned earlier that we can create Canvas courses for anything, right? We have one for orientation and professional development. I was working with the first year experience crew on getting their Canvas course up and running. We can make Canvas classes for anything, right? There are some limitations and some restrictions that we need to be mindful of, but generally speaking, they're wonderful, wonderful resources for big groups to all come together and have a shared experience. So these little eyeball icons over here tell me as the instructor which tools are visible and invisible to our students. Okay, so there is technically a syllabus tool. This is kind of an outdated item inside of the Canvas universe. This assignments area, this is something for me. I don't give access to this to my students because this is just an environment for me to organize their content. I want my students to go through the modules, but for me, here's a list of all my lab assignments. I put it in its own special folder. Here's a list of all of my homework assignments for this semester, and we're up and running. So we don't necessarily have to show everything to our students. For example, I don't show them my pages. This is the master list of every single Canvas page that I have created inside of Canvas. This is overwhelming. It's even overwhelming for me. I probably have 1,000 web pages that I made for just this one Canvas class. I'm not going to give access to this area to my students because they're not going to know what to do with it. All of our Canvas classes are going to have a series of settings, and this really opens up the back door into Canvas and allows us to continue to customize the experience to meet whatever it is that we want to do. Usually these are more kind of utility functions. The ones that I like to draw focus to, especially for the crowd that I'm speaking to, is when this course starts and ends. If the end date is set to tomorrow, well, on Saturday, our students are not going to be able to participate in this class. They can still see the course. They can still see the content in the course, but they're not going to be able to turn in their homework assignments or participate in the discussion boards. It's basically a read-only course at that point. And we can also change some other parameters in here. A lot of this stuff is pretty advanced. And if you're working with a Canvas course and you want some help, definitely reach out to me. I'm the person on our campus to talk about that. One final thing before I open it up for general questions is that inside of our settings is where we can import and export all of our Canvas content. It's one of the beautiful, beautiful things about working inside of Canvas is that the items that we create can be preserved and forwarded through this import and export system to future Canvas classes. I do this for all of my classes. I have a bundle of resources that I keep copying into to next semester's Canvas course. So it's very helpful.
You're basically not having to start from scratch every time.
Bingo, bingo. And the export is a really great way to archive your materials. Our Canvas content is intellectual property when it comes to the faculty. If you think about it, we are kind of turning into miniature web designers for all of our instructional materials. That the items that we create fall under our intellectual property, so we can archive it, which is pretty neat as well.
Patrick, I'm sorry. So when you're exporting, what format does it export into? Or
Yeah, it exports out into a .imscc, which is its own proprietary Canvas kind of cartridge, if you will, a little bundle of information. I believe you can also export it out. No, yeah, it's just the IMCC. That's what it is. Oops, I shouldn't have hit that button. That's okay. Yeah, and we can also copy stuff from course to course as well. I think you can also, there's a setting somewhere that allows you to export your class as an EPUB. So if you have a lot of written content, you can make it accessible as an EPUB file format as well. Okay.
and when you export it, it will still be in Canvas. Is that correct? Or is
Yeah.
when you export it?
You got it. It'll still be in Canvas. Anything that's in the web browser will stay in the web browser. This export will allow us to save like a hard copy to our local desktop for archiving purposes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, one final thing, and I apologize, I didn't mean to forget this, but we can add people into our Canvas courses through the People tool. So if you're managing a non-instructional space, this is a great place to invite people in. I was asked, I think by Ava, to add someone to the professional development course. Oh, it was Gupri to the professional development Canvas course. And I just went here. I went right into the People tool. I hit the People button, boom, I'm up and running. If you are the manager of a Canvas course, we request that you try to use the login ID as the identifier for this individual. So if I was to try to add myself to this, see how it automatically scans our entire system, and it said, oh, this login ID is Pat, right? And the institution is the Los Rios Community College District. We don't really want people to be logged in through their personal email. The district has asked, I think they even have a policy these days, that we have to use Los Rios information as part of our sequence to adding people into the class. And that's to ensure that, I don't know, foreign agents, outsiders are not getting access to our private student information. Okay, other questions on Canvas? We only got a couple minutes left, and I want to make sure that there's an opportunity for you guys to answer all of your questions and to pick my brain. I'm here to help. One thing that you probably have run into already is the Canvas app. There is a Canvas student app that's available for free on all of our mobile devices. It is many shades of okay. It's not great. Even Canvas knows it's not great. The official supported environment for Canvas is a desktop browser using either the Chrome or the Firefox internet browser. The Canvas app, some of the features don't work. Like this morning, I was really battling with some instructors whose students I wasn't battling with the instructors, I was battling for the instructors, trying to help their students who are using their iPads to take a midterm, and the iPad was not displaying the Canvas quiz questions correctly. So if you can, I know it's not easy in our remote environment at the moment, try to ensure that you're using the desktop browser for all of your Canvas stuff, and it will work as advertised. If you go into the mobile world, some things are going to break, because now the operating system of those mobile devices are going to start to fundamentally change how things are being pulled from servers and displayed on the screen. It turns into a little bit of a headache.
I have a quick question, Patrick.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Yolanda, and I came in late. So kind of related to your people version here. So for if we wanted a Canvas where our DSP students can come and get information, or we push out information like announcements, how do we make it confidential so that you don't see your classmates? Or just, you don't have to really give me, just let me know if that's possible.
It's not possible. Well, we can make it a little bit more difficult, because one of the things that we can do, and I'm going to share with my screen with you again, I apologize. One of the things that we can do is that we can disable the people tool. I have that disabled down over here. So I'm the only one that gets access to this master list of all the students and all of their W numbers in the class itself. Okay. We can turn this off. However, the part that's kind of tricky about this is I've switched my tab back over into student view now. If I go into my inbox and I create a new message, see how it says select course up here? Well, I'm only enrolled as a student in one course. Then check it out. If I go in here, let's see, it's going to show me a list of all the students that are currently enrolled in the class itself. So we can make it kind of invisible to our students, but if they're aware that they can go into their address book in the Canvas inbox, they can see all the students that are inside of this class at the moment. So
Okay, thank you for
it's
sharing.
not a true, Canvas is not designed to be a true private amongst the students themselves, right? If you need that type of environment, we need to explore different options.
But I mean, you have ways where they can't see, students cannot see other students' grades and things like that, right? And homework assignments.
Bingo. Yeah, that stuff is all locked down. Yeah, a student cannot see another student's assessment, their grades, what they submitted. That is private communication between the student and the instructor themselves.
Right.
Yep.
I have a question too. Sorry, I was late too.
That's okay.
So if the students are dropping, adding classes, and there's a search, they can search classes, right, to enroll themselves. So is it just only they have to enroll to eService, or they can enroll themselves to a class through the, Canvas?
Can't enroll through Canvas, right? All of our enrollment goes through eServices. At certain times of the day, eServices pushes enrollment information into a Canvas shell. So a student really shouldn't ever have to ask their instructor to add them to their Canvas course, because our system, our technology system, should do that automatically. It takes about a day for all of the Canvas and PeopleSoft servers to sync, mesh, and send that information out, but it happens automatically.
Okay, so basically they can just add, drop, class, everything is done through the eService. They just have to review their classes and assignments. It's like D2L.
Bingo. Bingo.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it takes at times at the beginning of the semester, like the week school starts, it takes a little bit longer for all of our enrollment services to sync and to push folks into their Canvas classes. So it does grow during that first week just because of the server load that we're under, but it happens auto-magically in the back end. On that note, our instructors get access to their Canvas courses many months before school starts, and we do that intentionally so they can start building their Canvas classes in preparation for the beginning of the next semester. I think for the spring semester, the Canvas course creation process is going to happen right around the 1st of November, somewhere right around that time period. We're not too far off from it. I have a meeting coming up next week in which I'm expecting to be told when all that's going to happen. However, our students, they don't get loaded into their Canvas class until a week before instruction begins. So basically the Saturday, because classes start on Saturday. So the Saturday before, boom, that's when everyone gets loaded. All the students get loaded. So if you have folks that are freaking out, like in August, like I'm not in Canvas, it's not showing up. It's like, well, you're not going to get, it's not going to show up for the students until a week before class starts.
Is there going to be, or, because Starfish is the new thing coming on, is there incompatibility with Canvas, or they're two separate two completely separate systems?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. We're all kind of waiting to see what the Starfish implementation is going to be. Right now, they're still kind of at that pilot stage, from what I understand, and they're exploring different features of Starfish with the idea in the not too distant future that they'll land on a core series of technology that then will be implemented across the entire district. So I don't know at the moment what that Starfish implementation is going to be. The idea is that it be available inside of Canvas and it become an extension of Canvas going forward.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think it is inside Canvas now for instructors.
Yeah, and we haven't talked a lot about Starfish yet because we don't know what that final configuration is going to be.
Right.
So we don't want to tell people, hey, look at all these features, and then we don't actually support those features.
Right.
I would imagine, I
you.
know the Starfish team is working very hard. I would imagine that there's going to be some final decisions made in the not too distant future as to what that looks like. And when I say not too distant, I mean probably this semester, between now and the end of the semester. Other questions about Canvas?
Yeah, Patrick, I have a quick question. So like a week before, you know, how you're saying that students are uploaded into Canvas, are they notified that they're in Canvas in a course?
Yeah, they should get an invitation to their student
Okay.
email.
Okay, because I had a few students, you know, call me like that week and they're like, oh, they haven't heard anything. But it could be that they probably didn't, you know, check. So
Probably
that's
didn't check their
so
email.
they get a notification.
It happens frequently.
Okay.
A lot of folks don't realize that they have a student email.
Yeah, that too.
You know,
Mhm.
even though we jump up and down and remind them, check your student email.
Yeah.
It happens. That's probably the biggest miscommunication between our institution and our students, is that first understanding that their student email and then all of our important Los Rios stuff is going to that student email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, that's good to know that they do get notified.
And I think if I remember correctly from a recent meeting, that district office is exploring the idea of e-services forwarding information to a student defined email address. It might actually be live already. So
Yeah, I mean, the students who go through the orientation, they're certainly made aware of the fact that they are given an email address,
Mhm.
and then, you know, that they can forward it to the personal, but that's not every student. And sometimes even the ones who go through orientation don't remember. So
yeah, I wish I had, you know, a big banner. If we were at campus, we'd have a big banner that says, check your student email. That'd be helpful.
Pat, are there any templates in Canvas? You're obviously an expert.
Yes,
Your
there
course
is.
is all nice and organized, and I wonder for instructors that have never done it before, any help for
Absolutely.
them?
Let me show
Do
you.
they just have to wing it? Like, I wonder how many courses are actually as nicely organized as yours is.
Let me show you a really great resource on that note, because we have this wonderful, wonderful system called Canvas Commons. And why is it not showing up over here? Is it only here? Let's do this. Excuse me. I'm fumbling around. Oh, because I'm in student view. That's why it's not showing up. Okay. So Canvas Commons, this little button right here. This is our cloud sharing service for Canvas content. We've posted some really cool things in here. So this is a global network. Now we're getting access to like a marketplace, if you will. Maybe marketplace is not the right word because everything's free. But it's like a marketplace of Canvas items that folks around the world have created. If you were to do a search just for CRC, here we go. Now we can start seeing a whole bunch of stuff that's made for CRC or for Los Rios. The order may be different depending on your own computer, but we've posted the CRC online course template. This has been made by Jenna Trench, our online course design coordinator, in consultation with both myself and Greg. We kind of worked on it as a team. And this is a fantastic template. this will get you in the game,
Mhm.
right? This will get you up and running pretty quickly. It has a fantastic, like here's our lab waiver. Here's our kind of a boilerplate orientation module. They have structures down here for instructional modules as well. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
And it is as easy as just going over to the import button, and it will ask you, hey, what Canvas course do you want this imported into? It's got to go find it and then hit the import button and you're up and running.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It is.
As is the rest of Canvas Commons. It's pretty neat. Yeah, it's great. Look, the geography department has their own sample homepage now. That's awesome. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And getting access or getting support resources for Canvas is really easy. Shoot, if you just did a search for the Canvas knowledge base, they have wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guides for all things Canvas. So there's a lot of information on Canvas. We're lucky to be working with Canvas. It's turning into one of the world's largest learning management systems. About half of the California community colleges use Canvas as their primary means of instruction. So it's a pretty big system, well supported, well documented, and you can find answers to questions very easily.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I'm over time a little bit here. Are there any other questions before we say goodbye to each other?
Very quick question, sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Is this going to be posted somewhere after?
Yeah, I've recorded this entire presentation today, and I'm going to be posting it on the CRC Distance Education YouTube channel. And as soon I'll get that going here as soon as I hit the stop button.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Patrick. I'm gonna head
Yeah.
out. I appreciate everything.
All right.
Thank you, Patrick, very much. This
You're
is helpful.
welcome.
Yes,
And
thank you.
I'm going to put my email address inside the chat. That way, if you have a question, just shoot me an email. I am definitely here to help. We have a wonderful team of folks that will answer all of your questions. I'm kind of the epicenter of that team. So make sure you reach out. There's a lot of folks here to support you.
Thanks so much again.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We'll talk to you later. Bye.